Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Rotterdam.
What we need to do is connect with each other, challenge each other and move forward with each other.
The IRP is a platform. It's a platform for policymakers on the one hand, scientists on the other, to be able to talk to each other, to be able to figure out what's going on in the world. And the policymakers pose issues that they are interested in dealing with. Scientists try to explain the scientific background to those. These days we're looking at how materials flow through the economies of the world, who's doing what to water and to minerals and to metals. We've also been looking at trade issues, we've been looking at soil and land, food security. The resource panel is very concerned about that government officials and corporate leaders and even civil society, NGOs and academics, media, understand the gravity of the situation. We're looking ahead of time at some of these issues.
Land, water, soils, air. We have many success stories, but we, in a sense, are winning battles and not the war.
For decades, the price of food was more or less stable within a little band, and look at the way it started jumping.
To show what kind of policy options would bring systemic changes and improve resource management.
It's very important that in moving towards addressing environmental issues, we need to consider social justice as very important in the context of environmental policies.
There is generally not enough awareness of the kind of environmental risks which we are running going into the future, of the resource risks we're running going into the future. And so I think one of the principal purposes of the International Resource Panel is to make those risks more apparent.
We present facts and figures. And what we hope is that governments pay attention to these figures. So for instance, if you realize that 52% of the cities of 2050 have not been built, but we have no clue where the resources that are needed are going to come from. And also suggest possible ways of a sustainable pathway out of a looming disaster.
The average European citizen now uses 16 tons of raw materials a year, and 3 tons of these end up as waste. Our program aims to halve the amount of incinerated waste within 10 years, all while stimulating new types of design and business models which fit a circular economy.
The circular economy enables us to reuse, recycle, remanufacture, and also reduce the generation of waste into the environment. And I think this kind of approach to the use of resources can enable us make the world more sustainable in terms of environmental conditions and production of goods and services for the whole society.
We just had a Google Hangouts chat session, and the questions of the students were answered by some panel members.
What recommendations could the International Resource Panel make to improve the gathering and dissemination of data on metals?
Normally, 90% of the people talking about resources are talking about availability and digging and supplies. We talk about sustainable resource management.
Which essentially means we discover that we need a lot less resources, not more.
I think the resources with which there is the most concern are food and water, two of the most basic resources that humanity needs. We still have a fast-growing population, we still have large numbers of people who do not have enough to eat, and just as concerning, we have large numbers of people who are eating much more than they should. Those are two of the topics that we've been working on very hard over these last 2 days, and they will doubtless recur into the future.
How can we really go to a resource-efficient world And of course then we have to break that in chunks, and that's what we're doing at the panel meeting. And I thought this panel meeting succeeded in doing that. We saw very good progress in the process of many of the reports, and we had interesting discussions on the subjects that we're going to choose.
I enjoy staying in Rotterdam, such a beautiful city, very hospitable, friendly, and very efficient.
The ultimate solution is to decouple the use of resources from human progress. What we need to do is to improve people's lives without using as many resources. In other words, doing more with less.
I don't know how many t-shirts you need for the next winter, so I guess you have enough, and a certain saturation in physical terms doesn't do us any harm.
How do we sustain a world in which large numbers of people are demanding large amounts of resources and Mother Earth can't support it?